What's up, guys? Protect here. I know it's been a long time since I've posted a video, but um, I just read the patch notes for .5 for the release for PoE2, and judging from all the minion instability changes, the changes to like permanent minions and weapon swapping and all that stuff, not really being a thing, I figured I'd show this build off um, in as close as a version to what it might look like in the next league as I can get it to, because I've had this build basically to myself for a long time, and I've been really enjoying it a lot, and it does really well. But considering now it sounds like people are going to be, this is going to be the only option for doing this sort of build successfully, I might as well just let the cat out of the bag, as it were, about getting this setup working. And so what we're going to do is I'm going to do a pretty crazy juiced map. Where is it? Yep, this one. With some pretty nasty mods and doing some overrun abyss. Now, as you can see, we're mind over matter with the Cloak of Defiance. It's our main, defensive layer. So we'll see. Hopefully I don't die during this demonstration, but if I do, then I'll just put a different map in to show you, because this is kind of a crazy map, frankly, to show this off. But anyway.
None can oppose me. I need more time. Too much clutter. No. soon. Too soon.
You won't make a puppet out of me!
Death is my power to wield. Too soon.
Alright, so there's a lot more of the map to do, obviously, but considering the mods in this map, 72% more damage. I don't even know if there's anything else in here. Yeah, if it's not apparent, I don't really read map mods much anymore with this build. It's because it's when you got one of the good ones. But anyway, yeah. So empowered, 72% more life, full decked out, boss difficulty. The build does pretty all right. I can briefly go over it. We'll start with just the skills. So right now, I am adding in Ember Fusillade with Minion Pack 2 to kind of help speed up the zombie's death on bossing, since it's now pretty fucking terrible after that massive nerf they did to minions in Infernal Legion. I personally feel like they should have at least kept the death over time speed the same. Like, I get reducing the damage, but I don't. Now that minion instability doesn't work with Last Gasp, I don't see why they needed to do that too. But I'm just a lowly zombie minion instability enjoyer, so what do I know? But anyway, we're using this right now to kind of help speed them up on bossing. With the Ember Fusillade, because it's the fastest attacking skill that I have access to. We use Blasphemy with Intemporal Chains, Elemental Weakness, Ritualistic Curse, all this stuff. We use Lingering Illusion, Frost Bomb, Devour. Basically, between Lingering Illusion and Devour, that's how we get our consistent power charge generation during mapping. We don't necessarily need Devour, because Lingering Illusion gives us more than enough power charges, and it's pretty easy to get up consistently. I like it because it provides us a little bit of life top off when our life gets a little low and we want to bring it back up, because life flasks aren't really cutting the job anymore. So when we Devour, I think, you get that much life per enemy like 286 over a second, and if we consume, it consumes up to 3 total. So you know, it's like 900 life regen over 1 second, which is pretty good. So between those two, that's what we're using to keep our power charges up. We have a max of 7 with like a 25% or 25 for 27-second duration, I think, something like that. And so what we usually do during maps is we just, we make sure we get some corpses right near the boss arena, jump in, and then pretty much every boss, no matter what it is, will have them. So we can just kill them during maps, so it's pretty comfortable. During Ubers and things like that, we'll have to do like 1 or 2 dodges on Lingering Illusion to get the stats we need, so it's a little clumsy there, but for the most part, once you get them, it's pretty simple. Then we are also, what's the other one skill we got? Obviously we have Raise Zombie, and I'll go through the links to that in a second, but we have Mana Remnants, to help keep our health up during crazy fights and like in the middle of packs, and Pounce just because of the mark, really, and the movement speed that we get from the traversal, as well as being transferred to wolf form momentarily. So going back to Ray Zombie for the links, we just used minion instability, Infernal Legion. Right now we're using Infernal Legion 1. I think in the new update, there's only Infernal Legion 1 and Infernal Legion 2. And the second one is actually way worse because it adds fire damage or fire resistance. And so we don't want that at all. The way I'm even mimicking the damage over time death speed is through using the... I spec'd a Necromantic Talisman, took off my really nice amulet, and put on this 50 fire res total amulet just to mimic exactly how much damage they're going to be taking. And so, yeah, that's kind of like what's going on there. And we use Feeding Frenzy 1 because we want the one that has the take more damage, and tier 1 has the higher of the two. We then use Execute as our fourth, which is actually, this moves up in the order. It's like, it's the best, one of the best in slot supports for this, because we get benefit from both of the supports on this, because the zombies die at low life. This counts towards their explosion, and they also do 30% more against enemies that are on low life. So if they hit both of those conditionals, it's 2 separate 30% more damage multipliers, which is really good. And then our final point is a very expensive Zoph's Pyre. It could also be, there's a ton of different stuff you could kind of put in here as a replacement for this, but this is the best one. Zoph's Pyre, because of both the flammability, ignite magnitude and contribution, and the fire damage, extra chaos damage. So this enables us to get really meaty ignites from our minion instability pops from our raid zombie. And so yeah, those are the links. The raid zombie skill itself is level 30 right now. It's actually 33 with my amulet, which the only stat on here that matters for that is the empowered zombies. 412% more damage with hits is actually like 476, which is, I think it's like 10-20% more damage. But yeah. Anyway, we have the 20 quality, so we can get the maximum effect of the empowerment. I think when everything's said and done, multiplying the effect of the empowerment is actually like more like 550, 570, and maybe even way more than that with the 476% more when you multiply it by that. So they're basically doing like 6.5 times the damage with their hits. They have a base amount of life of like 23,000 on my setup. Let me try and get some corpses real quick. Yeah, 19, but when I have my amulet on, it's like 23,000. So, yeah, 23,000 times 6.5 times is, well over 100,000 some odd effective HP for the minion instability pops for the empowered zombies. So that's pretty good. That's better than most Spectre builds, I feel like, can climb their minion life up to. So I thought that was pretty neat. I was not expecting that the damage would be as crazy as it is. I also wasn't expecting that the Infernal Legion would do as good as it does, but reading the actual points, like reading the description on the support gem, it makes a lot of sense actually, because if you read it, it says, minions from supported skills ignite enemies within radius as though dealing base fire damage equal to 20% of minions' life. So what that tells me is that it is classified as a hit under the hood before it's calculated, which, if you remember looking at the Empowered Zombies stat here, deal more damage with hits. So I think that this multiplier is applying to that, Infernal Legion power damage over time. It is the only explanation I can find for why this is doing so much damage when my zombies only have 23k HP. So it is literally the only explanation. So pretty sure that works, and that's been working. And so that's pretty cool. And then, yeah. I actually wonder then if Zoth's Pyre... Yeah, I don't know. This kind of question, this thought process here also influences my questions about like whether Zoth's Pyre's chaos damage from hits, does this increase the Infernal Lineage damage if you factor that in with, Unholy Might, which I'll get into that in a second. But yeah, anyway, either way, damage over time is really good. So that's the skills, and we'll go over the tree. Obviously, we're a Lich. We get the Unholy Might from Necromantic Conduit, as well as the Blackened Heart node under it, so that we can maximize and double dip our defense and damage from our mana pool. So in my version, with my amulet on, I have about 5,300 mana, and when I did the math a few weeks ago when I was doing the build, the Unholy Might buff goes from a 30% more damage as extra chaos to a 90% and some change more damage. So it's basically a 90% more damage multiplier. So that's pretty good. And we get an additional curse as well as the, curse pops with our blasphemy going. And so that's mainly the ascendancy. The tree itself is just minion life damage and power charges and mana. That's all we get. That's all we focus on. We get the gigantic following because it's just there's no downside to it for our setup. On our switch to our talisman for our wolf pouncing skill and our devour, we have invested into all of the power charge generation max power charges, as well as duration nodes, because that's primarily where we're going to be acquiring power charges. And with those two, along with the one we get, I think there's another one, yeah, this one here too. With all those together, we get up to 7, and if you weapon swap back from a setup that doesn't have the maximum power charges, you still keep the ones that you've acquired. So even though I don't have 7 maximum power charges on my casting setup, I still maintain the ones that I acquired as in my wolf and wyvern forms. So that's pretty cool and pretty good quality of life for the build, because you can walk around and just cast for a while. You don't have to be constantly getting charges, although you end up kind of getting charges anyway because you're devouring to get more HP back if you lose some life and stuff. But if you're not getting damage, you can just cruise for a few packs, then decide when you need to get more, which feels good. So yeah, and that's the tree. The gear, just resistances, mana, obviously Cloak of Defiance in the chest piece with the damage taken from mana before life node, and we get that in the tree as well as on a jewel socket, and I think we end up at like 87%. But we get the mana recuperate belt with the corruption to get a higher damage taken recoup. Dream fragments for the obviously mana regeneration and freeze immunity. And we're using, in my setup, let me actually get to town real quick. Can show you.
Not yet.
Another strategy.
There we go. So, you know, we just get mana, energy shield, minion skills, mana, minion or ally damage, and minion life, and then mana regeneration is a nice bonus, as well as some spirit. And yeah, mana resist, percent mana, shield, just a high energy shield, high mana, helmet, same deal. So yeah, talismans, literally whatever. It doesn't matter. If there's a good defensive talisman, a unique that comes out with 0.50, I'll look at it and maybe we can use that to help make sure of the defenses on the wolf. Because the wolf, as you can see, when you switch, you lose about 1200 effective life. So you don't want to stay in this form very long. You want to, just, pounce the pack, dodge, and then, get back in human form. You don't want to be kind of standing around because you're vulnerable. But yeah, I think that's the build. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in an update video.